You're listening to the Dad Whisperer podcast with Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield. Be sure to follow her on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can find out more about Dr. Michelle at drmichellewatson.com. That's drmichellewatson.com. Here now is your host, Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield.
Hello and welcome to the Dad Whisperer podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield, and I'm so excited, Dad, that you're joining me again today, especially if you want to add more tools to your fathering toolbox. Well, you know the grid that guides our conversation every week, which is simply on your mark, get set, go. So, Dad, I want you to picture yourself standing side by side with other dads who are getting ready to run their fathering race this week. I'm on the sidelines as your coach, cheering you on and saying, on your mark, get set, go. On your mark is the topic or the theme. Get set, filling that in with stories and stats, and go is always your practical action step so that you can put your love for your daughters and your sons into action this week. Well, today on the program, I have a guest coach joining me named Christina Curtis. Christina is the founder of Curtis Leadership Consulting based in Denver, Colorado, which supports a range of high-achieving clients from world-class entrepreneurs to executives, from Fortune 500 companies and Olympic athletes. She is a thought leader on motivation and goal attainment and has written articles and been featured in the Harvard Business Review, Forbes, Psychology Today, Entrepreneur, and Fortune magazines. She earned her master's degree in organizational psychology, is certified in neuroleadership, and is an accredited master coach, a designation held by less than 2% of coaches globally. Christina has authored a new book, which is going to be the focus of our conversation today, which is titled Choosing Greatness, an evidence-based approach to achieving exceptional outcomes. And today, as I said, we'll be unpacking some powerful strategies that you as dads can use to help your daughters be successful entrepreneurs. Welcome, Christina Curtis.
Thank you. Excited to be here.
Well, today for On Your Mark, the title is 5 Ways Dads Can Teach Their Daughters to Become Successful Entrepreneurs. And, you know, I've got to just tell you, Christina, now for Get Set, I love the word entrepreneur. And I still remember back, my goodness, I was in my early 20s, and I heard someone do a talk where they said, an entrepreneur is someone who takes a risk, which I love, takes a risk for the sake of the profit. And I still remember that now.
Isn't that wild?
Isn't that wild?
True.
So how about we just start out by you saying, how do you define entrepreneur? How have you lived that in your own life? And why do you think it's important for dads to understand that concept in light of their relationship with their daughters?
Yeah, an entrepreneur to me isn't just starting your own business and stepping out there in the world on your own, where there was nothing, there is now something because you've created it. You can even be an entrepreneur as a leader in a company, as far as I'm concerned. And so why I say that is because you work for you. Your daughter is going to work for herself. She is on her business card. Her name is going to be there from the first job she has to the last job she has. So she is CEO of her own career. And that is where she is an entrepreneur. She will need to evolve. She will need to think through different strategies of how to advance herself. She will need to think through how to generate confidence. And so for me, being an entrepreneur is just continuing to evolve my brand, my skills, and grow to meet the goals that I'm after in life.
Well, and I even love in that definition I'd shared that it's one who takes a risk.
Yes.
And I think being an entrepreneur means you have to fail forward. You have to be willing not to always be perfect, right? And taking kind of a step into something, even if you're not an expert yet or you're scared. What would you say about that? How much fear have you had to face?
Oh my goodness, it's unbelievable, right? And I find the women who are titans in their industry and really thriving get very comfortable being uncomfortable. And that starts at a young age. That starts with, I mean, even with my own dad, he really taught me that when you lean into discomfort, it doesn't mean something's wrong. It doesn't mean you're not good enough. It doesn't mean you're going to fail. It means you have stepped outside of what you're normally doing.
Yeah, your comfort zone.
Risk.
Yeah, you're out of your comfort zone.
That's right. And whenever you do that, which was really liberating for me to remember the fact that whenever you step outside of your comfort zone, your brain turns on and says, hey, there's a risk. That's self-doubt. That's all it is. Hey, there's a risk. Let me just run through what they are. But it's not a prophet telling me what my future is going to be. It's just a dress rehearsal for all the issues that could surface. And as women and young girls, instead of seeing self-doubt as just a mechanism for our own anytime we step outside of our comfort zone, we make it mean something. We make it mean we're not good enough.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Right. I love, Christina, that you just highlighted a strategy, might be even a better word, to say, if you, dad, can teach your daughter to expect self-doubt to come, but it's like it makes it less scary if you know it's coming and you, in a way, talk back to it. That's almost what I hear you saying. Talk to it and tell it, you're not the boss of me. You're not the one who defines me.
Yeah, meet it. You have to meet it as though it is not yourself. There is a distinction there. I always say to my daughter, who's a young teenager, when self-doubt comes, it's just neurological wiring. It doesn't mean anything. We have to stop giving it meaning and stop giving it all this importance. It's natural and it's human. And if you don't feel self-doubt, actually you may have a clinical disorder, and that's more in your camp than mine, Michelle, but it's true. It's a natural element. In my book, Choosing Greatness, I interview Richard Branson, and I interview Lara Barr's, the founder of Lara American, and all of these different entrepreneurs who say self-doubt is just part of the day-to-day. I expect turbulence. It is what business is about.
Wow. Well, you just mentioned your dad. I would love to hear more about how your dad either inspired you, encouraged you, supported you, or were there ways that he maybe blocked some of your confidence? Or tell us about that relationship.
Yeah, my father was in sales. He ran a sales organization and was very focused on the value of money. And I think when you're young, I was really interested in the value of art. I was like, well, I would like to be creative and I'd like to go into the movies. And gosh, I think at one point I wanted to be a rock singer. And what I learned is my father really nudged me towards one destiny. It's what he knew. And he kept nudging and nudging and nudging. And I went that way, actually. I ended up running the national sales training program for Xerox. But it was a stepping stone to what I really wanted, which was to run my own business, which was to be my own boss, which was to make a lot of money. I knew I wanted to make money doing something I loved and not have crazy hours so I could actually be with my own family. So the one thing I would say my father actually taught me as a parent is to be cautious of where I'm nudging them. That may be the path I knew, but it's not necessarily the path they are going to know. And the other element to that as a parent that I'm really present to is just because they're choosing a job or a career at 13, 15, 17 does not mean that will be the job career they choose at 27, 29, and 32.
Right.
I mean, right? Like I started in film and then I migrated to sales. Wow. And then I finally got to where I always had envisioned myself since I was a little girl, running my own company. And here I am as a coach, which really 20 years ago wasn't even a thing.
Right.
But he did inspire me. He did teach me that anything was possible. And he also taught me that you can be a really active parent and be a highly successful leader. And it's not what I found from a research standpoint, because I did a lot of research around this when I started my career with kids. It's not so much about the quantity. Kids do better just with good quality parenting, meaning you can work long hours, but when you're with your kiddo, you have to put your phone away and be present and then be there. That's the big nugget that I was really woken up to as a parent when I had my own kids.
Oh, I love that. So I heard you just say something, Christina, which was when I was a young girl, I envisioned myself having my own business. How young were you when you had that vision or dream?
Gosh, well, I was 10 when I wanted to be an author, and I just wrote my book, and I'm now almost 50. So figure that out. That took a while to get there. But as long as I can remember, I was going to have a house with 2 bedrooms by an ocean with red shorts and running my own company 3 days a week. I mean, it was really clear to me. And what's fascinating is one of my bosses, the CEO of a Fortune 200 company, when I left, I said, listen, I'm going to go start my own thing because I want to make more and work less. And he said, Christina, that's not possible. That's not possible. Again, it was not in his frame of what was possible. And yet my annual salary there is now less than my monthly salary here. And so again, as adults, we have to get out of our way and say, we actually don't know what's possible for our kids. We don't know what's within their frame of what they want to experience. I knew what I wanted. I put all my weight behind it. And I expected turbulence. I just expected turbulence. That was what helped me in my career.
Oh, wow. And I think especially with our conversation today, dads are hearing from a woman, right? So I think a guy could talk about this and it would still have impact and power, but you're living out the very thing that you're challenging dads and encouraging dads is to think about the sky being the limit for their daughters. Go for it. Go for it. Don't limit yourself. I think we live in a different culture. You know, I'm in my 60s now. And when I was young, and even I think about my mom being young, like going back even another generation, my mom said there were two options. She could be a nurse. She could be a teacher. So she became a nurse. She has a sister who became a teacher. Then in my generation, one down, it was still somewhat limited. In your generation, I think, okay, even more options. And then how old are your kids?
They're 13 and 15, and they're experiencing a whole new version of reality.
Right? Either one a daughter?
Yes. My daughter, my 13-year-old daughter, who has decided she's going to be a YouTuber. I don't know how you make money on that, but you know what? Let's go with it.
Right.
Why not?
Now, see, look at that. Your daughter's being encouraged. Does her dad encourage her in that too and support that?
Very much. Yes. I don't know if he would on his own. There's a lot of nudging. There's a lot of nudging going on at the dinner table. But I learned it firsthand. I think part of the challenge was because I was not moving into a field that my father was so passionate about, I felt like a failure actually until much later in my life. And I would say that even into my 30s, as I went off and did my own company and he didn't quite understand what organizational psychology was, I knew every time I hit a big milestone, I knew I was still dealing with it because I would call him first.
Wow.
And he'd be like, okay, that's cool. I'm like, no. Did you hear the financial number, Dad? Or did you hear the big goal I achieved, Dad? Or did you?
Yeah.
And so it was so important for me that I had his validation. And so I'm really working now as a parent. My husband and I are both working on validating them now. Because it is painful not to feel that what you choose, what you're choosing in that moment is valued and seen and heard.
By your dad.
Exceptional. By your dad. One of the most important people in your life. I mean, for me, he is still my greatest mentor and my best friend.
Yeah, and you want him to be proud of you. Even if it's a different path that you've chosen, that he would choose for you. Has your dad come around now?
Oh my gosh, yes. So I'll tell you a cute story because there's dads on the line, but we just launched my book, just went live. Simon & Schuster had published it and it went live and was on the shelves in Barnes & Noble. And we had the book launch in New York. And it's Choosing Greatness, an evidence-based approach to achieving exceptional outcomes. And because it was a big launch in New York, there was a billboard in Times Square with my picture on it saying, come to the book signing.
Girl.
And it's, I don't know, 30 by 30 or 40 by 40. I don't know. I can't tell how. So my father and I went and looked at it just to make sure that it was there because I was curious what it looked like.
With your
and
dad.
lo and behold, with my dad, it was his 80th birthday. And lo and behold, after all of the shenanigans of the book signing, he went by himself. I didn't know this until the next day. My mom told me he went by himself back and sat and looked at the billboard. And
my goodness.
That's my girl. That's my little girl.
Boy,
Isn't that beautiful?
Don't you feel that?
For me, well, it's so interesting. I feel it more for him than for me. I was okay. I already had honored.
Right.
I'd already honored where I was at. And for him, I'm just so grateful that he had that moment for himself on his 80th birthday to be able to say, I grew an entrepreneur. I did that
grew
successfully.
An entrepreneur. Oh, I love that. My goodness. What a powerful story. Because for your dad, he got to just sit and soak in the fact that you're his girl. We're never too old, dads, to need our father's love and validation.
Never.
And we want you to be proud of us. We don't want to disappoint you. But sometimes, did you guys hear that? And what Christina just said is her path to get from there to here was very circuitous. It was a very, we'll call it the scenic route. So dad, remember that when you're on the sidelines as a coach, right? You're not out there taking the ball to say, I'm going to shoot for you or I'm going to kick that goal for you. Is you want to be able to support your daughter's own wiring, own bent, own dreams, and to be there on the sidelines cheering her on. We're never too old for that. Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Christina has 5 ways, Dad, that you can teach your daughter to become a successful entrepreneur. We'll be right back.
Are you a dad who has ever desired a deeper connection with your daughter, but haven't known how to go about it? Let's Talk Conversation Starters for Dads and Daughters is the very resource you need. Dr. Michelle wrote it with you dads in mind. This book will support you with scripted questions, equip you to decode your daughter, and inspire you with stories of other dads and daughters. Don't wait any longer to be the hero you want to be and that your daughter needs you to be. So, to let the talking begin, head on over to drmichellewatson.com/books and order your copy today. This book will become a favorite in your fathering toolbox and will give you the answers you've been looking for. That's drmichellewatson.com/books. Now, back to the Dad Whisperer podcast.
Welcome back. I'm here today with my new friend, Christina Curtis, author of her new book, which is simply called Choosing Greatness, an evidence-based approach to achieving exceptional outcomes. And Christina, I was going to ask this at the end, but how about right now, tell dads where they can get in touch with you, learn more about you.
Yeah, well, the book Choosing Greatness is available on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or wherever your local bookshop may be. And curtisleadership.com is where I'm at. You can find me also on Instagram and LinkedIn, you name it. Come find me. We'll continue the conversation.
Awesome. Okay, well, let's head into now the 5 key ways that dads can teach their daughters to become successful entrepreneurs. And this is what your book is all about. We're going to kind of shape this to fit the lane for dads and daughters. What's the first way?
Yeah, the first one is expanding their financial literacy. So gosh, what do I mean by that? Oftentimes there's a bias that we do not teach young girls about how to save, earn, invest money. Truly, I will be embarrassed to admit this, but I just learned about investing in my 30s.
I didn't learn it either.
There you go, right? No one, and they didn't, I was not talked to about it either. And nobody seemed to be having conversations. And I finally was out for dinner with one of my girlfriends and said, can you teach me about the stock market? And she's like, oh my God, yeah, because she's in the business. And I started learning. And then I started talking to more women about it. Very few of us have that knowledge base. And I also think financial literacy can be taught in easy ways. Monopoly, super easy. You play a board game. But then I really wanted Park Place and I couldn't afford it when I was a kid. And I learned that you can't always have everything. Or Cash Flow is another easy board game or a game to play with your kids and with your daughter in particular. I also think money somewhere along the lines became collapsed with self-worth. And particularly for men, actually. And so men do not always talk about how they've lost, the mistakes they've made around money. And my father was really good about that. He said, here's how I have earned it, and here's how I have lost it. And it comes and goes. And I learned a lot actually by listening to him through that. But financial literacy, number one thing dads can do to help their daughters become successful entrepreneurs.
Okay, here's what I want to add to that, Dad. So pick one of these 5 things today, Dad, to make your go step. And if you're a dad that doesn't have financial literacy, and so you think, how can I teach my daughter what I don't have? Did you all hear that Christina just said, I have a friend who I knew was good at that. And I said, will you teach me? So Dad, if that isn't something that you have as a strong skill set, because maybe your parents didn't make that a priority for you, why not do what Christina did in her own life? Look for someone that has that skill and be teachable.
Yes.
Okay, number 2.
Number 2, it's interesting. Responsibility builds confidence. This is a really important one. And oftentimes as parents, we choose responsibility like chores. Make your bed, clean your room, put your dishes away. But when you want to develop confidence, you want to align it with something they care about and they value. So an interesting one that I thought was very high risk, but my daughter asked for it when I asked what chores what responsibilities she would like to demonstrate that she's a grown-up. At 9 years old, she said, I would like to make dinner for the family. And I will tell you, my immediate response was, well, there's knives, there's heat, there's this, there's that. And then I thought, okay, I got to take a sip of my own medicine here and go for it. I have pictures to this day on her wall of her face beaming when she made her first meal for the family. Was it edible? I don't remember, but I will never forget the responsibility and confidence link that just making a meal for the family presented. And other things are when I go up to takeout, I have her walk in with a credit card so she feels the responsibility of an exchange.
Oh, I love
We're providing
that.
cash and there's food, and she comes out with her pizzas in tow and feels a sense of pride. So thinking through how can she demonstrate responsibility in ways she's proud of?
Yes. So let me ask you this, because you right, 2 daughters?
One daughter, one son.
Oh, one son. Okay. As you know, kids wired different. We've got things that tied
Totally.
it to birth order, personality, bents. Do you have any input then if a dad is saying, hey, my oldest is so responsible, which tends to go with
Yes.
firstborns. I am one. And, I can give that child any responsibility and they go higher. But this other one probably can't compete with the firstborn. And so how does a dad encourage maybe his daughter if she's innately wired not to want to take responsibility?
Yeah, well, that pivots really nicely in the third one, which is it's confidence building because I struggled with this actually. And my daughter is this, she is second born. So there is definitely an element of she's doing things her way. And it's just they're different kiddos. I actually learned through the past couple of years that every 6 months I need to look at what she's got going on and figure out where confidence is coming from. Because with my firstborn, I just said, okay, got it. These are the sports you're doing. We're going to rock and roll. Let's do this. You're doing your homework on your own. You're fine. And girls struggle more with confidence.
Yes.
I'm going to tell you, teenage girls in particular, when I watch what's going on and the comments being made through either social media or message, we've got to be building the resilience. We have to be focused on confidence. We have to be lighting a fire inside so that no matter what gets thrown their way, it just burns off. It's not landing and hurting as much as it could. And so responsibility became, we did even things like, hey, do you want to clean horses? I mean, that sounds so random, but she was into animals. And I said, there's this horse place down the road. Why don't we ask them if we can come every second day and you just you brush the horses. That was when she was, 10. That was massive.
She was excited?
She was so excited, and to have the responsibility of cleaning Bandit the horse. I mean, who knew? I would never have thought of that, but I asked her. I aligned it with her passion and interest. I'm afraid of horses. This was not fun for me, but I aligned it with her passions and interests, and I tied responsibility to it, and she felt a sense of confidence. The dinner thing, I was so against it. And I don't cook. So I'm like, also a bad idea because I don't know how to help you. And she did it, and she felt such pride. So I align it with their interests, align it with their passions. If they babysit, that's a great one too. Like anything that they feel a sense of, no one's telling me what to do here. This is on me.
Yeah.
It transfers the ownership from you as parent supervising to just them owning.
And are you seeing her confidence build through these responsibilities?
Yes. And for some reason, kids keep trying to knock it down. I don't know what that's all about. But yes, she is unquestionably in a better place than she was a couple of years ago as we started doing this every 6 months. Is this the right set of activities for her? Or is this just what I did with her brother?
And you would think that on your own, or would you do that with dad?
I do that with dad, and then we actually engage her. So,
That's
hey, out of the mix
powerful.
of things we're doing at school and after school and summers, what works, what doesn't, what's fun, what's not, what drains you, what excites you.
Wow.
We
Is
go through
she
that
eighth
together.
grade? Is she eighth grade?
She's going into 8th grade. She's a rising 8th grader.
You know what's so interesting, Christine, is that I often in my private practice have asked adult women, tell me what happened before, during, or after 8th grade. It is such a pivot year. So the fact that you've gotten been a front runner, gotten a front end start on this to begin having her think through what will build confidence is so beautifully powerful. Dad, that might be your action step today, is to say, I'm gonna sit down every 6 months, ask her, how you doing with that? How can we build that more? And sometimes if you have a daughter who's maybe more anxiety ridden, more fear prone, it may be that you'll need to do it with her. You may need to be that
Yes.
alongside for a while until she gets stronger within herself,
Yes.
So-
And I think that happens sometimes in their 30s. So it's a long haul. You're invested for the long run.
Exactly.
Oh, I love it.
Oh my God. I'll just mention one other thing here. I don't know if you've read any research on the dream gap. And then there were studies by 3 universities to find that girls, even by the ages of 5, 6, 7, already were viewing themselves different than boys and less
Yes.
capable. Who's the smarter of these 2 pictures? It's the man. And that they began seeing that there was a gap between girls believing and dreaming that they could do more as compared
Yes.
to boys at really, really young ages. And then Mattel with Barbie kind of swung in and started a campaign called Closing the Dream Gap. But I think in a way, Christina, I'm saying you are having your own, I would say, success in your home, that you don't have to join a campaign. You can become your own campaign in your home to close the dream gap for your daughters.
Yes. And I think as a parent, you worry if they dream, are they going to fall flat on their face? And then I have to pick up the pieces of this brokenhearted person.
So
And the
what would you
answer
say?
is-
Yes.
Yeah, the answer is yeah, maybe. And that's okay because people don't regret trying. They regret not trying.
Wow.
And when I watch the women out there, just yesterday, I was actually having a great conversation with someone who's looking for a new role. And I said, expect our setbacks this week. We have to go through and highlight them because they're happening. They're coming. You can dream big for that goal and we're going to run for it. And it's not like you suddenly open a door and there it is sitting there ready for you to pick it. You got to fight for it. You got to
Yeah.
fight for it. There will be setbacks. And so same goes with kids. Dream big and know that it's okay that there's setbacks because otherwise you would already have it. It would be easy to get.
And you don't want to protect your daughter from
No.
all of those hits or those failures, if you want to call it that, or
Yes.
setbacks. It's par for the
Yes.
course. And I think sometimes a dad doesn't want to see his daughter sad or,
know.
grieving. And it's so a dad has to expand what we call you have organizational psychology in your background. We call that expanding your window of tolerance. So a
Right.
dad will have to sit there and expand his own tolerance for her distress. Okay, number
Yes.
4. What's the 4th
Yes.
way a dad can build a successful entrepreneur?
Yes, I strongly recommend getting kids involved if they're passionate about it in sports or theater or arts or music or something that they care about, because it allows them that moment of experiencing failure without making it mean something terrible. So an example could be kiddo's up on stage and she forgets her line, but she realizes she can keep going and has that moment of pride when she's done. They're in sports, they lose that particular game and she realizes the team rallies around them, each other, and they say, it's all good, let's go at it again next time. That's real life, right? That's the highs and lows of real life. And I just think it's really important that we foster what they're passionate about, whether it's STEM. STEM is a phenomenal place where they play with different algorithms and codes and different equations until they realize the one works, but they have to go through 30 that don't first. So all of
Right.
these things
Yes.
where there's beyond just the school. And my dad always taught me this, and I will never forget it. It's actually one of the ways I live my life. He said, if I didn't do well in school one day, I had swimming. If I didn't do well in swimming, I had a friend. If I didn't do well with my friend, I had my family. So he always had different places
Wow.
where he felt safe and confident that would move and change by the day. And so just making sure, again, that recipe card of activities for your daughter suits her needs, creates passion, and builds her confidence in different ways.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, I love this. Okay. And now here's the 5th way, the last way that a dad can teach his daughter to become a successful entrepreneur.
Yes, it's letting them start their own business. Now here, I'm going to give you a
Whoa.
preemptive. Here's what's to come. This may last 3 weeks, it may last a day, and it may last 20 seconds. It doesn't really matter. If you've got a kiddo who's like, gosh, I'm going to start this charity to help animals in the shelter, and she only gets as far as designing the logo, great. If she's got her car, she's asking for a ride to the shelter to have a conversation with them about how to raise money, phenomenal. Both are a win. It's just allowing them to start that process of starting a business, and you can help. Don't take it over. As a parent, I have that tendency, but help them dream a little. I know my one of my daughter's friends was doing tie-dye t-shirts. Another one was selling mugs. My daughter actually did design a logo for an animal shelter related to these horses. And so whatever it might be.
I even know one where a 13-year-old is doing cookies and she has a little
there you
business
go, cookies.
And people order it on
Yes.
an app and she, obviously her mom or dad helps deliver.
Yes.
But what a creative way to build her confidence.
Yes, and it doesn't have to be a big shebang or a big to-do. If it isn't, it isn't, and that's okay. But those are the 5 tips I'd recommend for these fathers out there.
And you know what you said that I really loved is you said when you start a business with them, this can also strengthen your bond. And I love that idea of connecting and building and strengthening a bond between a dad and a daughter so that when the going gets tough, your daughter can always know Dad's with me, cheering me on, and doesn't see me as a failure. He can see that this project was, but not me. So review the 5 here at the end. And Dad, for your go step, choose one of these that you will put into action this week. Go ahead.
Yes. 1 is increasing their financial literacy. 2 is giving them responsibility that they care about, they're excited about. 3 is helping to build their confidence with the right recipe card of activities. And 4 is making sure you're in those activities, sports, theater, arts, music, whatever, STEM, whatever it might be. And then 5 is letting them dream a little and start their own business.
Oh, I love it. Okay, well, I always end with one go step. You've given lots of ideas, but let me ask you one final question, Christina. What is one practical way that a dad today could start taking a step forward in teaching his daughter to be an entrepreneur?
Yes. Lead with love. Lead with love. It doesn't matter if we do anything else, if we are leading with love and helping them feel supported and safe. To me, that is the most important thing for a young girl to feel.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Well, it's been such a joy to be with you here today. You said people can find you at curtisleadership.com, Instagram, your book again, give the title.
Choosing Greatness, an evidence-based approach to achieving exceptional outcomes. It's available on Amazon or Barnes & Noble. Come check it out.
Love it. Well, On Your Mark today has been 5 ways dads can teach their daughters to become successful entrepreneurs. I've been here with Christina Curtis, and it's been a joy to learn from her. And Dad, I encourage you to put into action one of the things, if not more, that she has shared today. Well, this wraps up another week's program. It's been great to be here with you all. I'm Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield, the Dad Whisperer, signing off and encouraging you to make today a day where you intentionally and consistently invest in pursuing your daughter's hearts. Go Dads.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of the Dad Whisperer podcast with Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield. To find out how you can invite Dr. Michelle for your next event, go to drmichellewatson.com and click on the speaking tab. That's drmichellewatson.com. Dr. Michelle loves bringing practical insights she gleaned over the past few decades to audiences of teenagers, young adults, men's groups, or women's forums. Once again, go to drmichellewatson.com. That's drmichellewatson.com for more information on the books, resources, and blogs that she has available. Remember, you can listen to the Dad Whisperer podcast on Stitcher, Spotify, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. And we'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe and leave us a review. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you again on the next edition of the Dad Whisperer podcast with Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield.